let's get one thing straight. Alright, let's get one thing straight. Let's clear the air. If you're using Bing, you got problems. You better use the big G, Google. Now, let's go ahead and use Roland Unified School District as an example, right? And we're talking about only searching within specific websites. So if your borrower, let's say, worked for Roland Unified School District, you would take the website and you would type site, colon, and you put the main part of the website right next to the site. Go ahead and remove www and the dot. And then what you might do is you might just put the borrower's last name, or you might put first name and last name. And what you'll notice is you'll only be searching for the borrower's name in that specific website. And another way to use this, and you guys might see this and say, is if you go to, let's say, Facebook by using this, right? You'll be looking for the borrower's name, and every single landing page that is related to Facebook only. Let's move on to the next one. Facebook friend sort. That doesn't even have a good ring to it. Now, if you want to rename it something else, go right ahead, but we're kind of limited on time, so let's get to it. So I'm on Facebook, and I'm sorry, John Smith, I'm going to use you as an example, but let's say you were looking for a borrower. You go through their friends list, you open up all of their friends, you go to the bottom, and you basically highlight all of their friends. Once you're done highlighting all of their friends, you go ahead and copy, you hit copy, and you go to this next tool. That's onlineutilities.org/text/sort.jsp, and you go ahead and paste what you just copied. And once you're done doing that, you hit this little button here where it says process text. And once you hit this, what it does is it takes the friends list and it alphabetically puts everything in order. So if you look here, if you see repeated POEs, there's a high likelihood that they're adding their coworkers as friends. Another way to do this is when you're on Facebook, and this is just something I wanted to throw in there. Oftentimes you see this little tab here next to following or all friends, and you might see something that says recent friends. And you got to think about it for yourself too. Who have you added recently? Probably your coworkers, right? Let's move on to the next one. Next search is going to be used for maybe looking for a teacher or someone that works for the local government or the federal government. And let's say you wanted to look for a John Smith that works as a teacher in Minnesota, but you don't really know what school they work at, but they may work for a school with a website that's ending with .edu. So if that's the situation, you'll type site, edu, and then you may put the name between quotes, or you want to think about the landing page too. You might even put Mr. Smith or something of that nature, and then you might drill down by putting city or state. I mean, hopefully you can use your imagination, and this will take you far. So that's that trick. It works with edus, orgs, govs, whatever the ending of the website is. So let's move on to the last thing. Just end it with this. Let's talk about basic Google searches. A lot of people, they like to go to Google and they're like, I'm going to just put the person's name in there and then cross my fingers and I hope that the POE pops up, but they don't really think about how the dynamics of the search works. So first off, you want to make sure you're searching the correct name. So if you're looking for the right name, that's the first step, right? So here's a couple of hints on manipulating the name to make sure you're searching the right one. Research and use the middle name. Some people have really dorky first names, and they'd rather use the middle name, so that might be one. Shorten the middle name, shorten the first name, add a suffix. We talked about it earlier. If you're looking for a teacher, on the school website, the teacher might want to be called Mr. or Mrs. such and such instead of first name and last name. So that's something to think about. Always think about the landing page and how a borrower or the search subject want their names to be seen on websites. You could even use maiden names. So if somebody got divorced or if something unfortunate happened, somebody might need to switch their last names up to whatever their previous last name was. So you can see that on TLO, on the alias section, whatever it might be. Some people hyphenate their last names, right? There's a lot of progressive things happening, and someone might inherit their wife's last name too. So you never know. So go ahead and hyphenate the last name. And one thing that a lot of people choose not to do, or they forget to do, is listen for nicknames and different names that people want to be called on their voicemails, right? And another thing, last thing with the names, is listen for family names. So if you talk to someone's mom, they might call their kid such and such, whatever it might be, right? Instead of there might be a guy named Bob, and instead of being called Bob, he might like to go by Bobby, and only a third party can go ahead and tell you that. And a lot of skip tracing has to do with being online and also being on the phone, so make sure you pay attention to those little small details. Let's talk about basic Google searches now. So you'll go ahead and put the name between quotes, first name, last name, and then maybe you might put the zip code next to the name, the area code, the city, the state. Abbreviating the state or not abbreviating the state and just typing out the whole state name could mean difference on the search results. So try that. You might do the name and occupation, or whatever industry they're in, right? If you're looking for a teacher, you might put their name, and then you might put the word education, teacher, students, study, college, school, right? You got to think about word association and putting that next to the name. Another thing is, if you have access to it, put the borrower's name and the school name next to the borrower's name, because a lot of people, they like to show off saying, hey, this is where I attended school. And if you think about the landing page, think about something like a resume. What does a resume have in there? It's going to have the borrower's name, it's going to have the borrower's school, and right next to the school, maybe a phone number, right? So think about the landing page when you're doing Google searches. And I'm going to stop with the intermediate searches here, and we'll continue off next time. But an intermediate Google search specialist or a pro would do a combination of basic searches. So a pro would go ahead and take the name, put the zip code and the area code, or put the name, the city, and the area code. You probably can use your imagination and figure that out. One last thing here before I go ahead and cut myself off from going into a tangent is a lot of times you're working a certain type of paper and you're limited to different areas. So all your borrowers might be located in one small region of the country. So for instance, you might have a paper that limits you to working borrowers that all live in Washington or Alaska, right? For myself, I work Wisconsin and Minnesota. There might be people out there that only work paper that's in California. So, once you start working these accounts, they're specialized accounts, you may want to have a list of certain area codes you could put next to the borrower's name. For instance, if you were working all California accounts, you would put the borrower's name and then 626. The borrower's name, 909. The borrower's name, 714. Hopefully you're catching on, but that's pretty much it. We'll continue off next time. Someone complained, so I gotta keep my meetings short. So, and this is pretty much it for normal people's attention span too. So, thank you very much for listening. Good luck to you guys today. Have fun skip tracing, and let's all have a productive day.